Echo VR is shutting down.
Ready at Dawn, owned by Meta, is shutting down.
Ready
at Dawn, owned by
From
Meta.
like a return on investment money standpoint.
Yes, it's true.
It's the buzz, baby.
And that's what we're trying to do as a macro thing.
Out of every great tragedy comes a masterpiece. January 31st, 2023, Echo Arena is scheduled for shutdown. Suddenly, an entire community is thrown into chaos. How could a space as awesome and impactful as Echo VR die so abruptly? Well, it didn't. As the shock and confusion sunk to the center of everybody's consciousness, something new began to take shape and form. Something vivid, expansive, essential, visionary. Something revolutionary. Something transformational. Something that could unify and actualize the entire scope of love, reverence, and passion, fractured from the weight of Echo's demise. The first glimmers were encapsulated by the now famous tweet, "We won't let there be 0-0G VR sports games." And so, it began. The project was codenamed A2, and the team assembled for the task was another Axiom. And 9 months after Meta publicly rejected Echo VR, another Axiom shot out an invitation. They'd be hosting a first look event for A2 in Las Vegas. I, along with so many others, were there. Here, our community got a chance to experience a very early version of this new and developing VR world. The devs welcomed our feedback. Our voices mattered. Something unique and special began to feel real. Every moment was imbued with intelligence, joy, and ambition. Another Axiom shared their visions and values of what kind of experience they wanted to grow in VR. A2 would be a space for competition, collaboration, and creativity. By the community, for the community. True to their word, the community that gathered together for this event all left with early access to A2 to help test out and give feedback on all future builds. Now, the next couple months were very quiet in the public eye, but what was going on behind the scenes was a little messy. You see, the first vision built for A2 was to devise a purely zero-gravity sports game to fill the space left from Echo. But this was too narrow. A2 had a larger agenda than just being another VR game. A2 wanted to push beyond VR's past products and projects that never fully tapped into this industry's full potential. And so everything built up to that point was scrapped. New innovations energized new builds, allowing A2 to elevate VR into something never before accomplished. In January 2024, A2 introduced us to the O'Neill Cylinder, Driftball, and Death Run, known today as the Orion, Driftball, and Scrap Run. When I first hopped into these new builds, VR felt the way I had always dreamed. With Driftball, the competitive edge of VR was back, and the devs were actively listening to our feedback. We gave feedback, and the game evolved. Arena changes, geometry, bridges, trenches, until the general shape of what we now know as Driftball was formed. Death Run was an altogether new VR experience for me. The way the paddling and movement on my end was being challenged by the traps and obstacles in the environment made the experience feel more intense, vivid, and dangerous. The way the runners communicate with runners is entirely different than how the killers plot alongside other killers. A2 was building cultures and subcultures in addition to lines of code. Early versions of golf and volleyball shifted tempos on an emotional level. The world went from dramatic and intense to leisurely and chill. At this time, there were 2 golf courses, one in the Driftball district and one in the Corn district. Although the vibe was low-key, I immediately realized that these environments were nevertheless reinforcing the overarching mechanics of A2. Movement, gravity, ball control, all skills that could be utilized in different ways in different places. These were all very different virtual experiences, but here all together in one place. Strangely, this diversity only served to enhance the coherence of the total experience. This game truly immersed you, absorbed you into its atmosphere like nothing I ever knew before. This was all built on an unfinished ship, made up of 3 districts, known now as the Orion, but back then it was called the O'Neill Cylinder. The O'Neill Cylinder contained a very early version of the Driftball district, as well as a city and Corn district. But these were well known to just be placeholders, while interactive and dynamic environments were being created by the devs. It was immensely unfinished, but intensely alive. Build after build, a feeling was growing, becoming actualized. For the very first time, I became part of a virtual existence that could truly be called a reality. On August 20th, 2024, the world was introduced to Orion Drift. Driftball was hosting tournaments and had established teams. The two placeholder districts grew into the club and parkour districts. Our community became known as drifters. We played scrims, invented parkour tricks, set records, and shared our love of Orion Drift with the world. After the server scalability test on the 20th and 21st of November, even more people fell in love with this world. Everyone wanted early access, to know when this game changer of a game was going to be released for all to enjoy, to be a part of not only the future of VR, but of a whole new vision of how you see yourself and your world. On February 25th, 2025, Orion Drift will be released. It's now your turn to create the next chapter in Orion Drift history.